Welcome, Victor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Victor is a physical therapy and public health teacher at Lunix, Luxembourg. First of all, I love your YouTube channel.
I do. Thank you very much.
Yes, and it's called Basic Health. Why was it called this name?
The original idea for the YouTube channel was to educate people on health literacy. Health literacy is understanding what to do in specific health situation or ill health situation, understanding how to navigate the public health system within one's environment, because if one is not able to do that, one might not get the care that one needs. And more than 50% of Europeans have low levels of health literacy. So I wanted to contribute to creating an awareness of health literacy, understanding your health, understanding the environment, and the healthcare system in which you live in. So HAIL is an English word that is synonymous with health. And so instead of saying basic health, I decided to call it basic
you played
HAIL.
a little bit with
with the words.
with the word. Yeah, so I went through the YouTube channel yesterday, and it was so good. It has so many useful information, and it's also funny. So I went through like a lot of videos, and I think a few videos stood out to me. And the first one is you talked about the physics of back pain.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was astonished that holding a coin out will increase the stress we put to our back by 7%.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk a little more about the back pain and the physics behind it?
Well, so in the video that you mentioned, the type of back pain that I specifically referred to is non-specific back pain. That is the back pain that you can't really find anything wrong, as in can't really diagnose a disease condition. But the name non-specific back pain is a disease condition on the International Classification of Diseases. So it is the name of a disease, but looking at the back, you can't really see anything wrong. That's why they call it non-specific, because they can't link it to any disease. So the thing that I try to illustrate in the video is that when we lift objects, the moment of, that is it's a physics mechanics term, the moment of forces on the object from the object that we lift is transmitted to the back. That's why you hear people say lift with your legs, not with your back. Bend your legs, not your back. So if people are constantly doing that, and if you see a lot of people when they bend down to pick something on the floor, they're not bending their knees, they're not squatting to pick something from the floor, they are stooping. They're stooping to pick something from the floor.
I feel like I do that as well.
And that transmits the weight to your back. Okay. Transmit the forces to your back. And that is one of the most significant causes of non-specific back pain.
Okay.
Also, as we grow older, the vertebral column, that is the soft part of the vertebral column, gets stiffer. When a child is born, more than 90% of that soft part is water. So basically, it's fluid. It gets thicker and stiffer as we get older. So to somebody my age, it will be less dense. It will be about 70% or a bit less. That is fluid. So it gets stiffer and stiffer as we get older. And if we continue to bend down stoop instead of bending the knees to pick objects, it transmits the weight transmitted to the back makes the back more and more painful as time goes on.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to illustrate in the video.
Yes, that's the examples you showed is also fascinating. Right?
Yeah.
Like picking up a baby will give so much stress to your back. What would you suggest people do? Because I personally, working a lot and sitting, I have some stiffness in my back, especially like around the neck as well. What can you suggest?
Well, specifically for the back, it's not advisable to sit for too long. One should get up and move the body. The body is meant to move. And if one must lift heavy weights, they must be not very heavy weights. Whatever weight you're lifting, however small, not stoop, but bend the knees, go as low to the ground as possible to pick it up. And when you pick up the object, if it's a large object like a box, bring it close to the belly or to the hip, because it reduces the moment of force if the object is out. That way it increases the force transmitted to the back, but if it is close to the body, it reduces the force transmitted to the back. And if you work for some government agencies, specifically I have worked in hospitals and rehabilitation centers. If you work in hospitals and rehabilitation centers in Europe, the government mandates that those organizations train their staff. It is the law that they're supposed to train their staff on how to safely lift objects, how to handle their back, and to reduce the risk of back pain. So the same principles apply to everyone else, even whether you work in those organizations or not. You should be able to, know how to lift objects safely and how to handle your back. So specifically for the back, it's just avoiding those situations where destructive force is sent to your back.
Are there any stretches or exercises that would help with the pain release?
So in terms of, you're talking about somebody who already has back pain?
Yes. For example, I have stiff neck. Can I stretch often?
Well, stretching is always good. It's always good, but for back pain specifically, it's better if a person is assessed by a physiotherapist, because it might be non-specific back pain, but a part of the back that is painful might be very specific to the person. So it would be better if a person is assessed by a physiotherapist so that they can provide targeted treatment for the person. But in terms of, in general terms, stretching is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And what do you what are some simple and effective things that people can do every day to immediately improve their health literacy?
Well, one of the important thing about health literacy is that getting the right information to make informed decisions. Because you in health, to take care of your health, you have to make informed decisions all the time. Now, we live in an age where information is readily available. Unfortunately, most of the information that is readily available are not good information. On YouTube, you find a lot of people who are posing as specialists in healthcare or knowledgeable in healthcare, but they are giving people in suboptimal information. So one needs to understand how to get the right information. Even reputable sources of information can get it wrong sometimes.
Yes.
So, for example, at the beginning of COVID-19, there was information that was provided by some government agencies and some international healthcare agencies that were inaccurate, but they later corrected it that they were inaccurate and they provided the right information. So, first of all, sources of information should be from reputable sources. So when you're looking for information about a condition, they should go to the World Health Organization is a reputable source of information. Some other international organizations like the CDC, that is the American CDC, and the European CDC, ECDC, they are reputable sources of information. You can get factual information from those sources to make informed decision. And if you're researching a specific condition or what to do in a specific situation for yourself, one needs to learn how to read research articles and how to deduce whether the research was properly done and the results that you are reading are applicable to you. That takes more advanced skills. So for someone who is not trained in research, if you're looking for information, you should try to get it from reputable sources. If you just go to any blog or if you just search Google,
that's what most people do, I think.
If a blogger has paid Google to advertise their blog page, you might see that, and the information may not be correct.
Yeah.
But information from reputable sources, getting it is the first step, I think, in improving your health literacy.
And then what comes after?
Well, what comes after that is when you understand the information that you have, then you need to decide on how to use it. So the information, let's say you get information about, say, for example, back pain, for example, from a reputable source, and you read maybe just one web page or one article. That is not likely to give you everything about back pain if you have back pain. But it is a start. If you go to see a doctor for treatment, it is important that whatever information, first of all, the doctor or the physiotherapist or whatever healthcare specialist you're seeing, it's important that you see them as people who have knowledge on the topic, and you're paying them for their knowledge and their skill. And because you're paying them for their knowledge and their skill, they are obliged to answer any question that you have.
Yes.
And they are obliged to answer the question in a way that is understandable to you. Because if they don't give you that information, you cannot make informed decisions. So you might go to a healthcare specialist, and when they start talking to you, you need to ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
To
poke them.
Yes. Yeah. To make sure that they are giving you all the information that you need to make a decision. So, for example, there's a video on my YouTube page about somebody goes to see a doctor.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah. And
what happened to Sally or something.
Yes.
Yes.
So it is a research fact that up to 30% of the things that healthcare specialists, doctors, physiotherapists, what they tell you to do, you don't need to do them. They are not. They will not significantly affect your health, or they might even affect your health in a negative way.
Yeah.
For some of the things that they are telling you to do. So if somebody tells you, let's say you go to see a doctor or a physio, and they tell you to do something, you need to be able to ask them, why am I doing this? What is the effect? What will be the effect on me for doing this? What are the possible adverse effects of doing this? What will happen if I do nothing?
Yeah.
Doing nothing is always an option.
Yes.
So you need to be able to ask very, very hard questions. And the person that you're talking to, the healthcare specialist, must give you answers, that are important for you to make a decision.
Yes.
Otherwise, you should not be seeing that specialist.
Yeah.
For example, I went to see a doctor recently, a urologist, and in talking to her, she listened to me, and then she said, okay, I'm going to give you this drug. And I said, well, you have not really done any tests. You don't know. So why are you giving me this prescription? She said, well, if you take this drug and you come back, we will see whether it works or not for your condition. And I said, no. Well, I tried to argue with her, but she looked like she was impatient that I'm questioning, what she's saying. Okay, I took the prescription. I never filled the prescription, I never took the drugs, I never went back to see her. So I've
Yeah.
also, I have been in many situations like that
Okay.
where, because they need to make money, and
Yes.
it's
The
they want to
profit.
see you very quickly, give you a prescription, you go, they see the next patient.
Yes.
The more patients you see, the more money
The
you
more
make.
money. Yeah.
So if you are in a situation like that, you don't have to accept what they say. That is another, the next level of health literacy. You get information. The information will educate you on a base level for you to be able to ask the right question when you are talking to a healthcare specialist. And if the answer they give you is not satisfactory, you don't have to listen to them.
Yeah.
Go and get another opinion from
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
specialist.
I think for especially in healthcare, I feel like usually, at least the environment I was in,
Yeah.
we just listen to what the doctor says
yeah.
usually. So I find the knowledge of, okay, you can ask and question them because they're also human,
Yes.
is also very important.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another video that caught my attention, which is the truth about skinny.
Yes.
Yes. So I find but I want to approach it in the angle of when you talked about the illusion of truth.
Yes.
Yeah. So it seems like the media has portrayed that skinny people are healthier.
Yes.
But in reality, in your video, you argue that it is completely the opposite way, and
Yes.
it is because of how the media portrayed
Yes.
and influenced the narrative of what's in people's head and what people is thinking. So I want to talk about the illusion of truth aspect.
Yes.
And when there's so many misinformation out there, even though the people who are spreading the information knows that a lot of people will not trust it,
Yeah.
but they also know if they do it long enough,
Yeah.
people will start to believe in this narrative.
Yeah.
How do you see this effect, and what do you suggest people can do to fact check? Yeah.
Well, regarding the subject of skinny versus slightly overweight, I think it's because we live in a constructivist world. Our world is the truth that we believe is constructed by people group, and because we live in this world, it is very difficult to change the mindset of people.
Yes.
So the symbol of beauty in this modern age is skinny. That's the symbol of beauty. If you see most of the runway models are skinny models. Yes, there are some plus size models now because probably the market for the fashion industry, the market plateaued somewhere maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
For skinny. They saw that people are not getting skinnier. In fact, most people are fat. Most people are overweight or fat. So if they keep advertising skinny, they might not sell a lot of goods. So now I think they are.
Oh, you think it's because of that?
There are more plus size people, plus size models now are coming up, but they are still in the minority. Most of the runway models are still very skinny people, and that's the narrative of that we have constructed in human society for the symbol of beauty.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult to overcome that.
Yeah. By the way, I recommend checking out the video you made.
Thank you.
It's very helpful. Yeah.
So how do we get over this? Well, first of all, understanding that being skinny is not necessarily healthier than being slightly overweight or normal weight. That is an important piece of knowledge that people need to have. But in terms of reconstructing the truth that we believe in, I am not sure that is possible. Or maybe it is possible, but probably not possible in my lifetime. Because even if, many of the models that are coming up are not real humans, they are AI models. And fashion industry is asking for the creation of AI models now. And when the creators of the AI models, there are some videos on YouTube about them, the creators of the AI models, when they suggest creating plus-size models, the fashion industry don't want plus-size models. They are interested in this very skinny, very svelte AI models. So reconstructing or changing the perception of beauty, coming to understand that there's beauty in every shape and size, I think it's a very difficult thing. I cannot imagine how that will, how that will change. But what is important is that it doesn't matter whether somebody is skinny or slightly overweight. They all need to exercise and eat healthy for a healthy life. All of them do. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So, yes, regardless of the body shape,
Yes.
the basics should still be there.
Yeah.
I want to, but this concept also applies in general, right? The ability to critically think about the information you're getting.
Yes.
Either it's healthcare information or
Yes.
the information from the media.
Yes.
And I think how did you develop your own critical thinking skills? And yeah.
Well, fortunately, I went to school when evidence-based practice started developing. I'm talking about 20 plus years ago. So evidence-based critical thinking is the core aspect of evidence-based practice. That means to be skeptical about everything and to believe nothing until you have proof that what you're seeing or hearing is the truth. So I think it is part of my education to always be critical. Unfortunately, even some people who have been educated in evidence-based practice are not that way.
Yes, exactly.
Because we all have what you might call echo chambers.
Yes.
So if you're always listening to something that confirms what you are thinking, you have confirmation bias, and it is difficult to be critical if you are in that situation. But for me, I am skeptical about everything. Some people might say I have trust issues, but it's not about that. It is about understanding what is the truth, and for me to be able to make decisions that will affect me. So I critique everything, everything I see. I critique myself.
Yes.
So, for example, if I hear somebody give me a piece of information about myself, I will ask myself, okay, this thing that this person is saying to me, is it just their opinion, or is there a part of it that is true? So, yes, I critique everything. I critique myself. I critique people. I critique the information that people give me. So I think it's part of my education to be skeptical about everything.
Where was this education?
Well, I have studied in 3 different countries. I studied in Nigeria. My bachelor's in physiotherapy. I studied in Manchester in England. My master's in public health, and I studied in Dublin, Ireland. Okay. My PhD in public health. So evidence-based practice is part of all those levels of education.
Yeah, I find, yes, I think people maybe overestimating how much they can be influenced by the information around them. And I myself, I'm guilty of it. I find that if I'm not surrounded by people who are if I'm not surrounded by people who keep me accountable, I will also deteriorate. And then I think I was overestimating my ability to be independent in that regard as well. So
I think the antidote or the cure for being deceived or being sucked into the illusion of truth is to constantly be skeptical about everything you hear and everything you see. The government can lie, people can lie, people groups can lie, even your family members can lie to you.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes it is not deliberate, they're just echoing words they've heard someone say maybe on the social media. They've joined the bandwagon, so to speak, and they just parrot the information that they got from someone else to you, and then if you don't ask questions, you believe it, and if you believe it, you act on what you've believed. So I think fact checking, even if you cannot instantaneously check the fact when they are speaking to you, you need to ask them questions. Okay, but did you hear this? Who said it to you? What proof that they have about what they're saying to you?
Do you do that to everyone?
Well, if it's not socially acceptable to do that all the time. So if I'm talking to someone and they're expecting me to act on the piece of information that they are giving me, I have to do that. Okay. But if I'm in a social environment, the conversation is inconsequential, so I don't have to do that. I just leave the information there. I don't take it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that requires a certain level of self-discipline and very clear of what you stand for.
Yes.
What do you think keeps you grounded like that?
Well, for me, so this goes into some of the things I have reflected on over time. A lot of harm happens in the world because we most of the time report perception as the truth. And perception does not always represent reality.
Yes.
So if somebody gives me a piece of information and that information is their opinion, it's their perception, it is not the truth. I'll give you an example. This is something that I teach, one of the ways that I, teach my students to be objective. So let's say I came to your house today. Okay, so let's say I'm doing a narrative of the events of me coming to your house. And I say, I went to Mengshi's house and I knocked on the door. She opened the door. She smiled at me. She was happy to see me. Everything that I said until she was happy to see me happened. She was happy to see me did not happen. It's my perception.
Okay.
So smiling at me does not necessarily mean she was happy to see me.
Yeah, so there is that's your perception.
Yes.
But that might not be my intention.
No, except if you told me I'm happy to see you. Then I can say she said she was happy to see me. Yeah. But to say that I knocked on the door, she opened the door, she smiled at me, she was happy to see me. No.
Okay.
I don't know
you made that that story made an assumption.
Yes.
Yeah, and the assumption and conclusion.
So that's made an assumption based on perception, and that may not be true. That may not be what happened. So a lot of things like that, a lot of harm has happened into the world because somebody made an assumption about something that they saw or something that someone said, and then they are reporting it, and the society at large believed it, and it becomes the truth of what happened.
A group perception is very dangerous.
It is dangerous.
What is your definition of truth?
I think the truth has more than one definition. If you think in terms of what physicists and maybe philosophers might call objective truth, that is reality, what actually happened. So, for example, if a tree fell, whether someone is there to observe it or not, it fell. It happened. If the sun rose, the sun rose. There is no other explanation for that. The sun rose in the morning, it sets in the evening. It's like 1 plus 1 at base 10 is always equal to 2. There is no other answer to that because it is measurable or countable. It's observable, verifiable reality. That is objective truth. So I came to this place today. That is true. I left my place. I came here. That happened. But there are other forms of truth. So the first one that I mentioned, the reality, is the positivist truth. It happened. It's reality. It's measurable, countable, verifiable, observable. But there are other forms of truth, like your feelings, for example. It's also true. It is not measurable. You can't count it. Can't really verify it because you're the only one who knows how you feel. So it is true for you. If you, the only way for me to know it is for you to tell me. If you don't tell me, I don't know what you feel.
Yes. But I can also not tell you the truth. I can bend what I can tell you something else that's not a reflection of what I feel.
That is possible.
That's also not verifiable.
That is possible. So the thing about dealing with objective truth or reality and dealing with constructivist truth, which is or subjectivist truth, which is what you feel, is that if I am dealing with for example, there's a car accident, someone collided with someone. That is true. It happened. The reasons why it happened, that can be investigated by forensic, investigators to find out who is culpable in that situation. And to a large extent, that can also be objectively true, as in the forensic investigation to find out how it happened, the reason why it happened. It's possible. But so insurance companies will have to deal with that objectively. But if somebody told me I am sad because I said something, or somebody told me they are sad because I said something that hurt their feelings, that is a subjectivist truth. Give you an example. I'm teaching a class and I'm trying to tell some students about sexual orientation or identification. So there's gay, lesbian, and I used gender identity, transvestite as another category. Transvestite. So
I have no idea what that is.
Trans people.
Okay, yes.
They might manifest as cross-dressers. They might go further to do gender affirming care, sex change, maybe hormonal or surgical. So I use the word transvestite. Transvestite is considered to be a pejorative term.
Okay. Derogative.
Yes.
Yeah.
So two girls came to me to talk to me. They said, you should not use that word.
Yes. It's very politicized nowadays.
Yeah. So that is how they feel about it. It's a class of about 60 people, but those two came to talk to me that I shouldn't use that word. I said, well, I take your point. That's how you feel about it. But I don't feel any compunction about using the word. It is a word in the English language. Yes, it is considered, derogatory to use it, but it is a word that describes a certain ethnos, a group of people.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that for the same objective truth, different people have different feeling about this truth? What do you think causes that?
Well, I suppose the way people react emotionally to reality, that is perception of reality and the emotion that it brings up, I think it has to do with many factors. I'm not sure exactly what those factors are, but I have some ideas on how those emotions might have originated. So, for example, if you go to the Sahara, people are happy when it rains. Yeah?
Yes.
People are happy when it rains. If you go to the Republic of Ireland, people are always complaining about rain. Yeah? It's the same rain, just that it happens less frequently in one place, so it's a scarce, it's a rare event. In another place, it happens so frequently, people are sick of it, and they complain a lot about it all the time. In fact, it's a joke in many situations where how much it rains over there. So, in the same way, if you listen to people in the United States talk about race, for example, they make jokes about using the word nigger. Yeah? They make jokes about it. And among black people, they call themselves niggers all the time.
Yeah.
They say things like, my nigger. Yeah?
Yeah.
But then they get offended if somebody who is not black uses the same word. So because it's a word that is a symbol of oppression at a certain age, not too long ago. So they feel that people who are not black should not have the privilege of using the word. So I think people have constructed or a narrative around reality.
Yeah, I think also from their own history, they made this lineage of narratives according to their own history.
Yes.
That maybe saying this triggers their insecurity about certain areas.
True.
And then they're trying to recontrol the narrative. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a possible reason why people feel a certain emotional reaction to some situations. It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find also we're talking about group situations.
Yes.
Personally, also, you might say something that triggers one person but not the other person.
Yes.
It's maybe the trigger is, I think, more or less is from the insecurities of their past or their history or where they come from. I think that's my theory. I'm learning a lot also.
That's a possible factor in the origin of how people feel or how people react emotionally to specific situations.
For each person, they have their own narrative, and it's hard to see outside of that narrative. That's a good point to talk about empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. You said that over the past year, you've learned the most about empathy, and in a profound way also. Can you talk more about that and how you arrived to this point?
Yes. My understanding, my learning about empathy happened because of the realization that what people do, if it is hurtful or if it is offensive to me, it hurts less than what I do in the situation. So, what I mean by that is if somebody does something that is offensive to me or something that hurts me emotionally or physically, it's likely to pass within a few hours, maybe even a few minutes to just pass. But if somebody does something to me, what it did is offensive, or it's hurtful physically or emotionally, and then I react in a way that I consider a bad way of reacting, it will not pass for several weeks. Maybe it might take even months before it passes. So I realized that what I do in a situation is more hurtful to me than what someone else did to me. So, give an example. I cycle to work, and I was cycling to work. This happened, I think, late last year. So I'm cycling to work, and I'm going straight, but there's a right turn, but I'm not turning right, I'm going straight. And a small vehicle came from behind me and turned right at the same time. So basically, they hit me. They cut me off, and I almost fell off the bike. And I didn't do anything. I was stopped there. Traffic stopped behind me because they saw what happened. The person who cut me did not stop, just kept going. So I didn't do anything. I just stopped to regain my composure, maintain balance on the bike, and then I kept riding. I went to work. I had a good day that day. Yeah. But let's say after that incident, the person cut me off. I chased them down because it's possible to chase them down. It's a busy area. They can't go very far. And I'm on a bike. So let's say I chased them down, banged on their car, say some abusive things to them, shout at them. I will not have a good day that day. In fact, I may have several bad weeks after that because of the way I behave in the situation. So I realized that my behavior is more important to my health than what someone else does. So I started to think about empathy. So empathy in terms of feeling my feelings and understanding that, yes, a bad situation might happen that might prompt me to want to react in a certain way, that I should restrain myself and not react. Because if I do, I am not really hurting the person that I am reacting to. I am hurting myself.
Yeah.
So that is the beginning of my understanding of empathy. And then after that, I started thinking, okay, I know this now, but what about the person who behaved in a bad way in the first place that prompted me to want to also react in a bad way? So what is the background to their situation? Am I making assumptions about them that these are just bad people or bad drivers? Am I making assumptions about that? So that comes to the understanding of the truth, objective reality, and subjective reality. So the fact that somebody turned and they drove badly and almost hit me off the road, off my bike, that happened. That's the truth. But and also what is the truth is, why who is at fault in that situation. That can be investigated. There are video cameras everywhere. Forensic experts can investigate it to see who is culpable in that situation. That is also a truth that can be found based on the current definitions of, or current rules of the road and how people should behave on the road. All of that can be investigated and discovered to be what happened. But what is not measurable is what is the state of that person at the time that what happened. Is it possible that he or she had a very sick dog in the car and they are rushing to the vet? Is it what happened? Why did, sorry, not what happened. What happened is truth. Why did they behave that way? What was in their mind? What was happening in their body and in their mind at the time they did it? What was happening with the car at the time that they did it? So all of those things I don't know. And I cannot know except that person tells me.
Yeah.
So it is not helpful for me to make an assumption that this person is a bad person. They don't care about me. They just want to kill me. I can't make that assumption because I don't know. So that is my concept of empathy, trying to see, to understand the position of other people. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who are bad drivers and they don't care about how bad they are. They just drive recklessly. So those people exist. But the thing is that for me, when something happens, I first of all, I know that nothing is permanent. That situation is an impermanent situation. It will just
changes.
It will pass. It will change. So that is one, that nothing is permanent. I almost got knocked off the road, but I didn't get knocked off the road. I didn't sustain any injury, so be grateful for that first. And then realizing that in order for me not to have this again, I can't change everybody that is driving on the road. I can only change myself. So be more vigilant because I need to protect myself. But also, in order not to react in a bad way in that situation, I should not make any assumption as to why the person who did what they did. I should not make assumptions like they're a bad person, they're a bad driver, they don't care about me, they are evil, they want to kill me. I can't make that assumption. It's not helpful for me. It is also not helpful for society. Because people have made such assumptions. People have gone to wars because of such assumptions about other people.
Yeah, that's what we talked about before, right? Like the bad, a lot of the evil or bad things happened in society is because of people's subjective perceptions and how they're convinced about their conclusions. So this touch on so many aspects that's very interesting. So first, I will try to tie it together and I'll do my best. But first is the guilt aspect. So I don't know if I should call it the guilt aspect when you said it stays with you longer when the harm is done by you rather than the other person is doing to you. I think I find it's almost universal, or I don't know, unless psychopath, it almost like the harms we done to other people tends to stay with us longer rather than if we're being hurt. I find that's same for me. I've definitely behaved badly in many situations, and I tend to feel extremely guilty if that's the case, and therefore I arrived at the similar conclusion to you, as in I should not do harm so that I can have a healthy psyche almost. Do you feel like that's universal, or do you think that's only a small portion of people?
First, I don't call it guilt.
Okay.
I don't think I feel guilty. It's not guilt for me. It's the fact that it's restrictive in the sense that if you keep reliving a bad situation over and over again, it just distracts you from going on with your life. So imagine that situation where somebody tried to cut me off. Let's say I behave badly. As in, I chase them down, cycle very fast to catch them in the traffic, banged on their door, shout at them or something. If I go to work that day, I'm likely to be distracted while I'm teaching. And I will make mistakes while I'm teaching because I'm thinking about it. I can't forget it because I behave badly.
Yeah.
It's not guilt, it's just, it restricts me from focusing on my life.
Yeah.
Because, I keep reliving it over and over and
but
over
why do
again.
you think you relive it over and over and over
I'm
again?
not sure. So if I did that, there will be tension in my body all day. Might be even for weeks, but might be. I might have tinnitus, ringing in the ear. So there are some stress factors that will just elevate if I behave that way. But I didn't. So in that situation, there was no stress.
Okay.
And by 1 hour later, by the time I started working, I almost forgot. Yeah, the situation. So I don't think it is guilt. It's just the fact that it's restrictive for me, and I can't move on because I keep turning it over and over and over in my mind. How can somebody be so evil? How can they behave like that? And externalizing the blame basically, and not thinking about, okay, what about you? What did you do?
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
Holding accountable yourself.
Yeah. So I don't call it guilt because I don't think I feel guilty about it. It's just that it restricts me. It just holds me back from just living my life. So in terms of whether it being universal or not, I don't know whether it is universal or not. I cannot say a certain percentage of people have that kind of sentiment or not. But what I can say is that if the majority of the world have that sentiment, we will have a more peaceful world. So I would say fewer people
I think
have that sentiment.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I find maybe we often restrict, we live in narrow perspectives sometimes, and we can only see our own perspective and fail to put ourselves in other people's position and think. And I find that might be an ability that's developed through experience rather than innate. I'm still thinking about this concept as well, but I find, although the flip side of empathy is resentment, as I can explain, as in I find if I'm so empathetic towards the other person, then I tend to trying to help them so much. I feel so empathetic towards them, and then I try to help them with their problems, and their problem become my problem. And then I ignored my own problem. And if I do that for too long, I build resentment
towards them.
Towards them, and then at one point they will break. So I find like there is a balance between being empathetic, but also knowing where the boundary is for myself.
For me, I don't think I have that. So I am very objective about how much help I can give. Doesn't matter how close the person is to me.
Okay.
If somebody is making demands on my physical resources, emotional resources that I cannot give, I will be very blunt in telling them this is how far I can help you. It doesn't matter how close, but even if you're my sibling or my parent,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very blunt about that.
Yeah.
Because I understand that we all have limits.
Yeah.
Nobody has unlimited physical or emotional resource.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very blunt in telling people the extent to which I can help them. And if they keep making demands and if they will not stop, I will just block them. It doesn't matter how close they are to me. I will create that wall. So I don't think that happens to me, that because of my empathy, I become resentful of the person that I'm helping. I help as long as I can.
Yeah.
And I'm very clear,
Yeah.
very, very bluntly clear about the extent to which I can help.
Yeah. Yeah. So this touch on I think the concept of boundaries.
Yes.
I think you are very good at defending your own boundaries. It seems like.
I do try, yes.
Yes, and how did you get in touch with your own boundaries? Because I personally have to say, I only realized the powerful concept of boundaries recently, to be honest. How did you develop that?
For me, I have always been what you might call a mild recluse. So if there was a scale for measuring how reclusive people can be, if 0 is somebody who is extravagant and sociable, and 10 is the most reclusive person, I think I would be like 4.5, 5. So mild recluse. So I like spending time by myself a lot.
Yeah.
And I do that quite a lot. But I also like social situations sometimes in smaller doses.
Yeah.
So I learned to say no very early on, because people will make demands on you.
Yeah.
Unreasonable demands sometimes. Sometimes the demand is physical, sometimes it's emotional. People will make demands, and I have learned to say no.
Yeah.
For example, because I understand priority. Yeah.
Yes.
For example, I grew up in a religious home, and sometimes people will complain, "Oh, I'm not religious anymore. I don't believe in God."
Yeah.
But I was until very recently.
Is a Christian or
Sorry?
which religion were you in?
Christianity.
Okay. Yeah.
The Pentecostal type, but I'm not anymore. But at the time, say I was a teenager and studying a lot, and for Pentecostal Christians, they might go to church up to 3 times, 4 times a week. But I'm a student; I have to study, and then other members of church will complain, "Oh, why we didn't see you yesterday, or you didn't come yesterday." I said, "Well, I have to study."
Yeah.
I'm very clear.
Yeah.
I have to study. If I don't pass my exams, I don't get a good job. Are you going to pay me a salary for coming to church? So I'm very blunt about that. I learned to say no. Will you come tomorrow? I also learned not to make a promise that I cannot fulfill.
Yeah, that's very important.
So I learned to say no very early on. One of the things that can get me upset about people is that people will tell you, "Oh, we're coming to visit," and then the time for coming to visit comes and passes, nothing happens, and then you see them again, maybe some other time. They don't even mention that.
Yeah.
Oh, we missed this appointment. That is very infuriating.
Yes, I think it's emotional cowardness.
Yes.
I would call, but I personally am guilty of doing that as well.
So if somebody says, "Oh, we're doing this thing, are you coming?" I'm very clear, I'm not coming. I have other plans, or I'm coming and I will come. If things change that I cannot come, I let you know. Sorry, plans change and I cannot come. So I learned to say no very early on.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was very easy for me to create boundaries.
Okay.
Because I think the creation of boundaries starts with understanding no.
No. Yeah.
And if you
Exactly.
cannot say that, if you're always trying to please people,
Yeah.
it will be very difficult for you to create boundaries.
Yeah. I think I had that problem of people pleasing.
Yeah.
People pleasing.
Yeah.
And I learned the hard way to say no. But I find the most important thing about being able to say no is to be grounded in myself.
Yeah.
And that requires self-reflection,
Yeah.
which is another topic I would really want
Yeah.
to get into. Yeah, so and at one point it seems like if you are able to say no very early on and no as a definite answer, and it seems like you're grounded with yourself, I would imagine.
Yes, because I've never really been in a situation where everybody wants people to like them. Yeah, everybody wants that, but there is opportunity cost for everything. I've always realized, well, I can't say always, but I realized much early on, maybe as a teenager, that you can't get everyone to like you. If you try and try and try, you will fail. You can't get everybody to like you. Nobody is liked by everybody. Mother Teresa, there are people who hate her. There are people who think that she's a fraud and she supported, genocide in some places. There are people who think that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, there are people who hate him. He was killed. So you can't get everybody to like you.
Yeah.
So I think as a teenager, I realized that. And I felt, well, I'm not going to get into this popularity thing. It's not worth it for me. So I don't do that. Yes, I understand that there is a negative side to being, very blunt and very clear all the time.
Yeah.
It reduces the social comfort with people around you. They are less liked because most people in the world want to be liked and want to please people and want to be pleased.
Yeah.
So there's that transaction going on, which I don't get into. But I realized quite early on that there are things that I want to achieve that not being able to say no or trying to please everyone will hinder those objectives. Yeah.
Yeah. I really admire that quality. I'm learning because I personally grew up in an environment where I always have to adapt to different environments.
Yes.
So that if I move to a new place, I would have to adapt so that I can survive in a way.
Yes.
I mean, somehow that's social acceptable became something that's required for me to survive.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm reflecting now that how that behavior of people pleasing affected me and how to really learn and stand my ground.
Yes.
And say no means no.
Yes.
Yeah.
I suppose there's you could consider it as a continuum, a spectrum of disposition to social adaptability, as opposed to being somebody who readily says no. I think it's not a dichotomous situation. It's a spectrum of people's behavior. So being socially adaptable, I think it's important for career advancement, because if you're not, if you move into a different work scenario and you're not able to adapt to the organizational culture in the new job, you're not likely to advance your career. So I think to be socially adaptable. It's important for career advancement. That is a difficult thing for me to do. So trying to it requires. I think it requires a measure of Machiavellian behavior to be socially acceptable and to advance your career. It requires that. That is something that is very difficult for me to do. I know what I want. I know what I'm willing to do and what I am not willing to do, and I am very clear about it. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
So I suppose I am lucky that I live in this age
Yeah.
where
And
there are
country
laws,
is, yeah.
where there are
I
laws
think.
that protect people. Otherwise, I would have been fired from many jobs because of
Yeah, I think
yeah,
in some environments
yeah,
this would not be encouraged. Even
yeah,
if you're very good at
yeah,
doing it,
yeah,
the system are not set up to
yeah,
be to encourage this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what somewhat I think it's some people in psychology, business psychology might call the competent jerk, as in somebody who is they're good at the job, they're good at their job, but
Yeah.
in terms of the politics of the organization and negotiating social circumstances, they're not very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have to be willing to
Bend yourself.
yes
Yes.
in many situations for you to advance your career.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think yeah, it's a balance that if you are willing to make, or it's a sacrifice
yeah,
if you're willing to make or not.
yeah, yeah,
And I do think that there is a cost also of the psyche if you bend yourself too much.
yeah,
Because I find that for the most healthy, I've concluded for myself that for my own psyche to be happy, I should try to always strive for the alignment between my actions and my values.
yes,
And if I bend my actions too much, that's not aligned with my values,
yes,
it has a weight, a cost to my psyches.
it
And
does.
then,
Yeah,
like you said, live the situation again and again and
yeah,
again.
yeah,
Why did I betray myself to
yeah,
do? I'm not aligned.
yeah,
Yeah, I think in a sense that's the balance I'm trying to. But I do find that for different people, it's also different. Some people are just born to be more able to adapt. I find. Do you think it's like that?
I'm not sure, but but I think it is observable that we have different tolerance
Yeah.
for social situations and different abilities at navigating social situations. So that's why there are many temperaments out there. Some people are extroverted, some people are introverted, and some people to just thrive in social situations, some people not so much. So I think that's an observable reality that people have different abilities in social situation. But exactly how it happens and how people develop it, I'm not. I don't know it.
Yeah. So let's go back to self-reflection.
Yes.
At one point in our group, you talked about spiritual practice, and then you said you do mostly self-reflection
Yes.
as your not necessarily a spiritual practice, but
That's my meditation, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
self-reflect. Do you have a routine for it, and how do you practice self-reflection?
I don't have a routine. It's not like I wake up and I spend 15 minutes doing that. I don't do that. I do self-reflection when a significant event happens. Yeah. And by a significant event, I mean something that I feel I behave badly in this situation. I need to think about it. Or I behave very well in this situation. Oh, I need to think about that so I can replicate it. Yeah. because I'm always watching my own behavior.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it is what I do that affects me more than what other people do. So, so, so I reflect when after experiencing a significant event. So let's say, for example, I teach a class and the class went very well. I will reflect on it. I will spend time reflecting on it. It might be an hour thinking about it. What happened? Why did that go so well? Things like that.
Okay.
Or if I had a conversation with someone and it turned into an argument, a very nasty argument, I will think about it. So why did that happen?
Yeah.
What did I do? What did they do? What were they feeling? What was I feeling? What was good about what they did? What was good about what I did? What was bad about what they did? What was bad about what they did? How can I?
Constant self-questioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how can I be better there? So I only do that if I experience a significance. It's not a routine thing that I do. No.
Okay. Yeah, but you find this to have positive benefits for your life.
Yes, it does, because if I think about a situation, I am able to understand mostly myself better, what I did well, and how I can replicate it in future circumstances.
Yeah.
And if it's a bad situation, what I did not so well, and how can I can avoid doing the same thing. It's a very it's an ongoing process. I don't think there will come a time that I would have achieved the best that I can be.
Yeah,
I think
it's always.
I think
no one's perfect.
there is no limit to
Yes.
improving myself,
Yes.
and so I cannot stop thinking about situations that I encounter.
Yeah. So when did you come to realize the importance of self-reflection?
Again, this is something that I think I realized very early on. At least the origins of it happened very early on as a teenager. So I'll give an example. In my first year in secondary school, I didn't do very well. It was a bad report. So basically I hung out with a guy. Then we played a lot, missed classes a lot. Yeah. Person wasn't very smart. So in a sense, I am smarter than the person, or I was. I have not seen them in a long time. Very close, as in for homeworks, the ones that we did. This person will come to my house and we would do the homework together. But we didn't do a lot. Missed class a lot.
You're influenced.
Yeah. I don't know whether he influenced me or I influenced him, so I can't place the blame on him. But basically, that was what happened. Played a lot, missed class a lot, so failed. In the second year, the person was still in the same class, but we were not really hanging out much anymore. So I started hanging out with the top 4 people in the class. And I became number 5, as in the classification of students that year. So I didn't stop hanging out with the top 4 people until I left secondary school. And I think my mother saw this person, the first person that I played truancy with years later, and they were reporting to me the situation of that person, how suboptimal it is. So I'm talking age 11, 12 when this transition happened. So I think I've always, not always, I realized it very early on that you need to think about situation, what happened, why what happening is happening, and make a decision.
Yeah, so it's almost like you taught yourself, or you realized it on your own because of some bad consequences has lead you to reflect, and then you realize.
And it was very quick, very quick. As in, year 1 failed, year 2 moved to a different group.
Wow, that's impressive. Yes.
Yeah.
And you did it consciously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then you set your
I
boundaries.
mean, I didn't tell him I'm not your friends anymore. I didn't. Just organically moved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's motivating you? It seems like there's a larger something larger behind the motivation that keeps you want to grow continually.
Motivation, you mean to grow as
Yeah, why do you want to grow as an individual? Why you have a steady job, you have you are in a good country, and you could say, okay, I'm finished.
No, I don't
Why
think.
do you yes, I understand, like people want to achieve better, but what motivates you personally to not wanting to be comfortable, I guess?
I suppose it's the same for everyone. The general fact is that doesn't matter how comfortable you are, there is always another level of comfort that you can achieve. So to be complacent is to stop dying. I mean, to stop living and start dying, to be complacent. So if you're not constantly looking for a way to improve, it's basically you've given up and you start dying. There's I think I felt that way for a brief period of time. There's a TV series, it's an old TV series called The Good Place. In that TV series, I think the last season of the TV series, the main characters in the TV series, they achieved an emotional state in which they felt that they've achieved every good thing they want in life. And they just want to move on to the afterlife. So that's basically, I think that's a summary or a summation of being complacent. As in, you get to a state where you feel, well, there's nothing left here to do. Let's go and be somewhere else, which could be afterlife for some people. So I'm not quite there yet in that situation. I think in order to stay alive, there must be something that you want to do. That in order to stay alive and be happy and be healthy, there must be something that you want to do, something that you wake up to do. And apart from that, there is also the issue of you want to achieve another level of physical and financial comfort that you can achieve, and you work for it.
Yeah, so always be motivated to achieve the next level that you're not currently at yet.
But I do have a caveat for that, in the sense that if achieving the next level, if what might be the next level is requires sacrifices that I am not willing to make, then I'm not likely to do it. So I think, in a manner of speaking, I think I am moderately hedonistic, as in I like being comfortable. So if achieving the next level of comfort requires me to be uncomfortable, maybe for a year or 2 years, I'm not likely to do it.
Really
So
interesting.
what I mean by uncomfortable is, for example, working more than 40 hours a week. So I'm not likely to do it because, if I go to work 8 hours a day, by the time I get back home, I just want to crash and relax. But if achieving the next level requires that I go to work, regular work, 8 hours a day, and after that I have to go home and work again. And by that I don't mean creating YouTube videos. I enjoy doing that.
Yes.
But to work again after the 8 hours work, I'm not likely to do it because that is not good for my mental health. I need to be able to leave work at work and just do something else for me.
Are you passionate about what you're working on?
You mean my current job?
Yes.
So I don't think I have passion for anything.
Not YouTube videos.
Anything that is a job. I don't think I have ever had passion for a job. Having a job is just being able to pay rent and all that. So I don't think I've ever had a job that I can say this is my passion.
What if YouTube becomes a job? Would you be passionate about that?
I would say I enjoy it. I wouldn't say it's a passion. It's because I can just give it up. It's very easy. I enjoy it, yes, but I wouldn't say it's a passion because I will give it up like that. Yeah.
So, but you said but one time you said you want to continue your YouTube channel.
Yes, I want to because it's hard work. You have to do research, and then you have to make the video. You have to edit the video and all that.
Yeah.
You have to promote the video.
Yeah.
I thought you don't have to do that. If you make a good video, people will watch. But unfortunately, no. So there's a lot of work. Yes. It is a lot of work.
Yes.
But for the most part, the creating the video part, I enjoy doing that. So if that's a benefit, I enjoy doing it. And yeah, it's good for my mental health to do something that I enjoy. But I wouldn't say it's a passion because I can just stop anytime that I want, and I wouldn't feel any compunction about not doing it.
Yeah. So I want to talk about community and growth. So a few months ago, I started this community called Personal Development Through Atomic Habits. And you became one of the OG members. And what made you want to join my events?
I think that I thought that being accountable to someone else willingly, not by coercion, but willingly, is a good way to build habits. So, for example, the self-reflection thing, I'm accountable to myself. So I've had many years of practice doing that. But being accountable to someone else, as in I go to them willingly to tell them things, and we share information, they tell me things, and then we meet at another time to debrief how well we're doing. I think it's all about peer support and peer mentoring, so that you help me, I help you. I help you to improve yourself, you help me to improve myself. I think that's what attracted me to the group.
It's like the story you said earlier about your secondary experience.
Yes. Yeah. So that was my attraction to the group, because it's helping each other to grow, and if you are able to discuss issues. They're not psychologists, but you're just chatting about something. First of all, chatting about your issues, it reduces the amount of stress related to them if they are stressful situation, because you're able to freely talk about them. And then while you're talking about them, you might gain perspectives about how to improve those situations, and also it widens your vision, your perspective of the situation. Because if like I said, I've had many years of personal reflection, reflective practice, but that still narrows. It's a parochial. It's a narrow view of whatever situation I am reflecting on or thinking about. But when you talk to people about it, it broadens your horizon.
Yes.
You're able to see several different perspectives on the same situation,
Yep.
and you have a lot more information upon which to make a decision.
Yeah.
And apart from that, people are empathetically listening to you and trying to help you develop yourself. So that was my attraction.
So, yeah, I find oftentimes if we stay with ourselves alone for too long, we're kind of tunnel vision.
Yes.
I myself was quite tunnel vision for a long time, and I almost lose track of the direction I was going, I think.
Yeah.
Then starting this has been very helpful for me personally as well, and it seems like you're keep coming back, and it has been working for you.
Yes, I think
well.
it's been a very effective group for me. Yes.
Thank you. I remember you said the first time that you are hoping to grow together, and it seems like you have a growth mindset. Would you describe your mind?
What I mean by growth is becoming a better person. Becoming a better person in terms of how I treat people. And becoming a better person in understanding people. I think I have a good understanding of people now, but I think it could be significantly better. My understanding of people and becoming a better person myself.
Yeah, so what I say about growth mindset, I meant knowing that you have the ability to grow, as opposed to a fixed mindset. Because I think growing up, I always hear that, okay, if you're a people person, then you were born like this. Or if you are good with business, you are a born businessman, you are born this, you are born that. But growing up and through my own experience, I realized no one's born good at anything. You have to put in the practice and put in the hours to grow. And everything is a skill that you can develop. Even comedy, you can practice how to be funny. And that's something that's really important for me to learn through my experience. Definitely was not in my upbringing. And do you think that's something you learned, or you think that's something you acquired through your upbringing?
You mean learn about
the ability to improve you. And if you're not good with people, you can improve to learn how to talk to people. Like if you're not funny now, you can learn how to be funny. The ability to improve.
Well, for me personally, I didn't think that there was anything that I couldn't learn. I've never thought that. There are There are things that I am not willing to learn because I just feel it's unnecessary, it's too much. Not that I can't learn them, I could, but I am not willing to. So maybe I should explain that a bit more. So first of all, I think when people say some people are born with a skill,
Not born with a skill, but born with, okay, you will be good at.
Yes. I think when people say that somebody has a natural tendency.
Yeah, natural tendency.
I think that is true in a sense because so some people, without being taught, they just naturally want to buy and sell things. That's business. They just naturally want to buy and sell things. As a child, they want to buy and sell things. Even without being taught. Their parents are not into business. Their parents are maybe salaried people. And this person, without having been taught, they just naturally want to buy and sell things. So, but yes, being a business person is a skill that you can learn. Anybody can learn to be a business person. So I think it's a combination of nature and nurture. But for the most part, I think anybody can learn any skill as long as it is a skill that you can physically do. You don't have a disability preventing you from doing it. I think anybody can learn to do anything. But to illustrate the things that I said, that there are things that I am not willing to do. So, one simple example. As a teenager, I did one trimester in advanced mathematics. One trimester, just one. There are 3 trimesters in a year. So in my 3rd year in secondary school, I did one trimester. I think the first trimester of the 3rd year of secondary school in advanced mathematics. And I failed. I stopped. I don't need it. Just the regular mathematics, I passed that. That's enough for me to do what I want to do. I don't need advanced mathematics to do anything. I don't need calculus, basically. I don't need it for what I want to study. So I stopped. I stopped going to that class. Could I learn it if I had stayed in that class? Yes, I could have, but I just choose not to. So, but there are people who would solve the same advanced mathematics problem in like 10 seconds that it would take me 30 minutes to solve. So those people, they have a better understanding of the concepts in the subject, and you would say that those people have a natural tendency to be good at that subject. I could learn it too, but it will take me more time to do it. But I feel that it is not significant learning for me, so I stopped. But yes, I think anybody can learn anything if they just put time to learn it. It might take longer than other people who are faster at learning the same subject, but I think if you don't have an intellectual disability or physical disability, you can learn anything.
So you have this, you knew it innately that you can develop and learn anything.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something I personally have to really like develop because of the upbringing I had. I think, yeah. So let me see what else. Yeah, so I want to also talk about endurance and the lessons you learn from that. You are a biker.
Yes.
And you said
cyclist.
Yes, cyclist. Yeah, and you said you often bike for more than 100 kilometers.
Yes.
And at one time. What lessons have you learned from those type of endurance events?
So when I do it mostly solo and sometimes in a group. So have I learned anything specific for that? I wouldn't say they were learning experiences for me. Well, I think the most important thing I've learned from it is that I could do it, and that anybody could do it. You can cycle. It might just take more time, but
Yeah.
but you can cycle. But apart from that, I don't think I've learned anything specific from doing long distance cycling.
Yeah. But is it painful for you?
Yes, at the beginning, yes, and that was because I didn't understand how to do it. So if you're cycling 100 kilometers, you need to carry food and drinks with you because you might be passing through places.
Did you just go and
Yes, because you
I'm
might be passing
hungry?
through places where you can't buy anything. There are no shops around, and there could be several kilometers of that. I
Yeah.
have done that before. That I felt faint because water finished, food finished, and I was still far away from home. There were no shops around. It was getting dark,
Yeah.
and I was feeling faint. I had to get home. So it was painful at the beginning because I didn't know the dynamics of the things that you need to do to do long distance cycling. For example, I used to cycle with a backpack, and now I don't cycle with a backpack anymore. I use a pannier rack. It's called tail fin. It's very aerodynamic, so you can still go very fast with it. It's better than the pannier rack that is on the sides of the wheels. So that reduces the pain of having to cycle with a backpack. Also easier to pack food and drinks. And also I learned how to cycle hands free because being hunched over the handlebars for 100 kilometers, it can also cause pain in many parts of the body. So I think the first 2 years that I did it, yes, it was really painful. And
Why did you want to do it?
because, well, two reasons. One, running became very painful. First of all, I need to exercise because if I don't, I'm likely to get sick if I don't. What I mean by get sick is that I might have my back pain can be worse, asthma can be worse, because you need to do exercise that expands your lung very frequently. It's good for asthma, so I need to exercise. Running became more painful, so I started cycling a lot more. Also, when I'm doing it solo, it's a good time that your mind is free to just think about things in a calm environment.
Self-reflection time. Yeah.
Yes, also a good time to do that, to do self-reflection. And when I cycle mostly through countryside, not on busy roads. Yes, I do pass through busy roads every now and then, but mostly countryside and on gravel roads. So it's quiet and it's peaceful. So it's very good for my mental health. And that's one of the reasons why I cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the mental health benefit you're
Well,
get?
apart from the fact that when you exercise in general, it's good for your mental health.
But in like long distance,
Yes.
what's different about that?
So if I wake up and I want to do, okay, let's say tonight I decide that tomorrow I'm doing 100 kilometers or 160 kilometers. That's called that's the imperial century. That's what they call it. 160 kilometers. It's 100 miles. Imperial century. So let's say tonight I decide tomorrow I'm doing the imperial century. I have to make plans tonight. As in prepare the food, prepare my drinks, prepare my garb, the things that I will wear because it's going to be cold tomorrow. Prepare all of that. I have to set an alarm to wake up early to do all my morning routines before I go. And then I also have to watch the time that it will take me to do 160 kilometers, about 9 hours or thereabout. So I have to watch to make sure that I'm not cycling mostly in the dark because there's very limited daylight now. So wake up on time, cycle during the day, and be back home. So that all takes planning. The mental health effect. If I don't make plans for what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm just likely to play a video game for those 9 hours. Yeah, because I have not made any plans, just a haphazard day that I just do whatever happens. But if I make that plan to cycle, I've made the plan today. That's the time spent doing something significant. And tomorrow I do the thing, and I can be free in a peaceful environment to think about things that are good in my life and things that I need to do to be even better as a person. So the exercise itself, even without the reflection, it's good for your mental health because there's increased blood flow to the brain. There's reduction in body fat. That's good for your mental health. But then the peaceful environment is also good for my mental health. The fact that I am not playing video games for 9 hours is good
so
for my mental
don't
health.
Don't feel you wasted your time.
Yeah.
You can spend it more productively.
It's you're doing something that affects your health significantly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.